An American family gets the chance to spend a weekend at the picturesque country home of a lovely British family they met while on vacation. What starts off as a perfect getaway quickly turns into a tangled psychological horror. Get ready to relive the adventure as we recap the story of drama and horror film today. Speak No Evil, production year 2024. The film opens in the picturesque setting of Italy, where the American family, the Daltons, consisting of Ben, Louise, and their 11-year-old daughter Agnes, are vacationing at a resort. Despite the beauty of their surroundings, Ben and Louise struggle to fully enjoy their time, finding it difficult to connect with anyone other than a Danish couple they consider dull and uninteresting. Meanwhile, Agnes, though on the cusp of adolescence, clings to her stuffed rabbit doll, Hoppy, which she relies on for emotional comfort. This underlying tension and disconnect within the family subtly hint that their vacation may not be as idyllic as it seems. Agnes panics after losing her beloved stuffed rabbit, Hoppy, which she relies on for emotional support. In her distress, the toy is unexpectedly retrieved by a British couple, the Felts, Paddy and Ciara, who are accompanied by their mute son Ant. The Felts quickly charm the Daltons, easing the tension from the lost toy, and they all share lunch together. As the two families bond, Ben confides in Paddy about their recent move to London for his job, mentioning how Louise had to give up her own career for the relocation. Impressed by their company, Paddy invites the Daltons to visit his and Ciara's country estate, an offer that Ben and Louise find intriguing. The unexpected friendship marks a turning point in their seemingly lackluster vacation. The Daltons head back to London, and Ben shares his disappointment with Louise about missing out on a job deal he was counting on. He's also worried about Agnes growing up and feeling like she needs to let go of her doll. While they're sorting through things, they come across a postcard from Paddy and Ciara, inviting them to join in on some fun again. They think it over, and even though Louise feels a bit uneasy about spending time with people they don't know well, she and Ben come around on the idea. The Daltons head back to London, and Ben shares his disappointment with Louise about missing out on a job deal he was counting on. He's also worried about Agnes growing up and feeling like she needs to let go of her doll. While they're sorting through things, they come across a postcard from Paddy and Ciara, inviting them to join in on some fun again. They think it over, and even though Louise feels a bit uneasy about spending time with people they don't know well, she and Ben come around on the idea. The Daltons show up at the Felts place just in time for dinner. Paddy is eager to flaunt the goose he cooked and offers some to Louise, even though she had mentioned before that she's a vegetarian. To be polite, Louise takes a bite but quickly spits it out when Paddy and Ciara aren't paying attention. Meanwhile, when Ben offers to take out the trash, Ant follows him around, trying to show off that his tongue was cut out. The adults keep chatting while Ant and Agnes crash in the same room. Louise hears Ant crying in his sleep, but Paddy and Ciara reassure her that he'll be fine, and he eventually calms down. The following day, both families head out for a hike in the woods. Agnes wants to try out the swings, and Paddy pushes Ant aside to clear a spot for her. After that, they all decide to take a dip in the nearby lake, since Louise mentioned her neck was bothering her. Louise shares her discomfort with Ben, but Ciara suggests they all go out for dinner at a nearby restaurant while Majid, Ant's babysitter, keeps an eye on him and Agnes. During dinner, Paddy and Ciara chat about their lively sex life, while Louise casually drops that she and Ben aren't getting it on as much lately, which makes him a bit uncomfortable. Paddy and Ciara then start joking around, pretending to engage in oral sex under the table. Meanwhile, Ant takes Agnes to a bedroom to show her his watch collection in a drawer. One of the watches has a Danish inscription and another guy's name on it. Ant is trying to keep Agnes quiet, so Majid doesn't catch them since they tricked him into playing hide and seek. He also shows Agnes his torso, which is marked with bruises and scars. Later, before bed, Ben vents his frustration about what Louise shared with Paddy and Ciara, mentioning he's still bothered by seeing another guy's penis on her phone. They have a heart-to-heart and hug it out, while Paddy watches from a distance. Late at night, Louise stirs awake and heads to the kids' room to see how Agnes is doing. But she discovers that both Agnes and Ant are missing. She searches high and low until she finally spots Agnes snoozing in bed with Ciara. Louise scoops up her daughter and makes her way back to their room. As morning breaks, Louise tells Ben that having Agnes crash in Paddy and Ciara's room is the final straw, and they need to get out of there right away. The Daltons attempt to sneak away quietly before Paddy and Ciara wake up. But on the road, Agnes starts panicking because they forgot Hoppy. Ben tries to calm her down, but she kicks his seat, nearly causing an accident with a truck. Giving in, Ben turns the car around to grab the doll, but by the time they get back, Paddy and Ciara are already awake and look hurt that Ben and Louise tried to sneak out without saying goodbye. When Louise opens up about her discomfort with what she witnessed the night before, Ciara apologizes, explaining that her motherly instincts kicked in because they lost another daughter, Mary. The Daltons feel for them and apologize for their hasty exit. As morning breaks, Louise tells Ben that having Agnes crash in Paddy and Ciara's room is the final straw, and they need to get out of there right away. The Daltons attempt to sneak away quietly before Paddy and Ciara wake up. But on the road, Agnes starts panicking because they forgot Hoppy. Ben tries to calm her down, but she kicks his seat, nearly causing an accident with a truck. Giving in, Ben turns the car around to grab the doll, but by the time they get back, Paddy and Ciara are already awake and look hurt that Ben and Louise tried to sneak out without saying goodbye. When Louise opens up about her discomfort with what she witnessed the night before, Ciara apologizes, explaining that her motherly instincts kicked in because they lost another daughter, Mary. The Daltons feel for them and apologize for their hasty exit. Paddy brings Ben along for a fox hunting trip, leaving Louise and Ciara to hang out with the kids. Meanwhile, Ant tries to send a message to Agnes, but since it's in Danish, she can't make heads or tails of it, and he ends up eating the note before Ciara notices. After Ben misses his shot at the fox, Paddy takes him to a peaceful spot where they can unleash some wild, cathartic screams. The families are having lunch together. Louise gets annoyed when Ciara starts making remarks about how Agnes is eating. Ciara says she's sorry, but then Paddy thinks Louise should say sorry too. Meanwhile, Agnes and Ant are eager to show off a dance they've been practicing to Cotton-Eyed Joe, but Paddy keeps criticizing Ant's moves, which makes Agnes feel uneasy. Paddy dozes off, and while he's out, Ant snatches his keys. He takes Agnes to the barn, where there's a secret basement. Inside, Ant shows her a book filled with photos of other families that Paddy and Ciara have encountered. Each photo features a couple with a sad child, next to another couple with their own happy child, and the pattern continues with each new picture. Ant gestures to Agnes, hinting that Paddy and Ciara cut out his tongue and plan to make her their next child after getting rid of her parents, just like they did to his. Agnes snaps some pics on her phone and heads off to show them to Louise. Just then, Paddy wakes up, and Ant tries to quietly return the keys, but Paddy spots the basement latch sticking out. After Ben and Louise find out what's really going on, they look for a way to slip out without causing a scene. They tell Paddy and Ciara that Agnes just got her first period as a cover, but right when they're about to leave, they notice their tyre is flat. Paddy steps in to change it, but then Agnes realizes Hoppy is missing again. Paddy spots the doll stuck in the gutters, so Ben grabs a ladder to get it down. Unfortunately, Hoppy is all torn up, but Agnes just wants to get out of there. They try to convince Ant to come with them by getting him to open the gate, but Paddy uses his keys instead. As they start to drive off, Agnes sees Paddy toss Ant into the lake, prompting Ben to dash over to rescue him, while Louise tries to drive away with Agnes. However, Paddy slams the gate shut. Ben manages to save Ant, but now Paddy and Ciara have Louise and Agnes at gunpoint. Paddy and Ciara pressure the Daltons into handing over their cash, and then Paddy tries to take Agnes down with some ketamine. Louise pulls out a hidden box cutter and slashes Paddy's face. before wresting the rifle away from Ciara. Meanwhile, Ben manages to free himself, Agnes, and Ant, and they make a break for it. Just then, Mike, who's working with Paddy and Ciara, arrives and starts shooting at the family, making them dash back to the house to hide. The bad guys are on the hunt for the family, while Ben and Louise do their best to keep the kids out of sight, barricading themselves in the bedroom. Ben thinks about using one of Paddy's liquor bottles to set the barn on fire to attract attention, but he misses and ends up smashing the bottle on Paddy's car instead. Mike starts shooting at them and tries to break in. Ben grabs a hammer to take Mike out, but Mike almost gets the upper hand and slams his head onto some broken glass. Just in time, Louise snatches the hammer and drives it into Mike's head. When Paddy comes at them, Louise sprays drain cleaner in his face, causing serious burns until Ciara comes to help him. The family is making a run for it, trying to get down the ladder from the roof. Ciara catches up to them, but Louise swings at her head, causing Ciara to fall off the roof and die, which also knocks the ladder down. Ben manages to climb down but hurts his leg. Still, he gets the ladder back up for Louise, Agnes, and Ant to escape. Then Paddy shows up and points a gun at Agnes, claiming he'll take her now that Ciara is gone and no one can look after him. He attempts to shoot her parents, but Agnes stabs him in the stomach with a ketamine needle, taking him down. Just before they leave, Ant picks up a big brick. Paddy tells him he's proud of him, but then Ant smashes the brick into Paddy's skull in a fit of rage. Ben and Louise pile Ant and Agnes into Mike's car, ready to leave the estate behind for good. Agnes hands Hoppy over to Ant to cheer him up a bit, and showing this story ends here. Appreciate a subscribe, and please remember to like. Thanks for watching.